Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my top 10 of 2024. So, starting with the number 10, we're going to start with Beyond the Shadows by Brent Weeks. This is book 3 in the Night Angel trilogy. The first couple of books were just setting up this world where Kylar is an assassin and he's learning the tricks of the trade and he's undercover and he's trying to live this life that he was not originally supposed to live. And it's a very typical assassin quest. The world is ending and he's the one to save it. And, he's got a lot of people that he can't really trust in his life. And so, in this third book, the country is under siege. The king is trying to take back his country. A god king is taking over the country. And it's up to him to save the entire world. And so, that's a lot of pressure. And he's not entirely sure that that's going to be the best move. And so he kind of grapples with that because he's got loved ones he's looking out for. And so, yeah, it was good and I really enjoyed it, but it's definitely a step down from the next 9 on my list. Number 9 on the list is Pucking Wild by Emily Rath. It is a companion series for the Jacksonville Rays hockey team. This one follows Tess and Ryan. Tess is a lawyer and Ryan is 10 years younger and a hockey player. Tess is just getting out of a really bad relationship and her ex is making her life miserable. Like, he's a jerk. And circumstances happen. Tess leaves the state that she's living in and goes and lives near where Ryan lives because her best friend lives in that town, and so she's going to be closer to her best friend. And her and Ryan end up being roommates, and chaos ensues, because of the fact that he really likes her and she really likes him and they're really attracted to each other, but she's going through this relationship and he won't grant her the divorce and they're going back and forth, and it's really tough on her. And so it's a lot of fun because it's pretty steamy. Number 8 is Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday. Rory is a ballerina with a history of an ED and a toxic relationship with her mother. And Mike is dealing with grief from his wife passing away. His child that he has is going through a lot of grief herself, and she's really angry and taking it out on him. And he's trying to manage her and the grief, and he's a hockey player. I mean, yes, I love hockey players, okay? And so Mike's daughter is in Rory's ballerina class, and that's how they end up meeting. Circumstances happen, and Rory becomes his nanny because she is struggling financially, and so she needs that. Rory has this secret that they met when they were younger and that she didn't have a lot of friends, so she pretended that she was dating him. She pretended that he bought her gifts and that she would travel to see him, and really made a big deal that she was dating him. And present day him hates secrets. And so they have to deal with that, and she has to wrestle with telling him or not, and deal with the nuances of the relationship as it progresses from her being just his nanny. And so number 7 is The Goal by Elle Kennedy. I love Elle Kennedy. She does really good hockey romances. So The Goal is a companion series, and this one follows Tucker and Sabrina. Sabrina is hard-nosed worker. She's going to go to Harvard and she's going to be a lawyer, and she works 2 or 3 jobs and she goes to school full-time, and like, she is dedicated. And Tucker comes in and he's just easygoing and doesn't really care about a whole lot, and he pursues her and wants to be with her, but she's like dead set that she's going to do these things to get out of the home life that she is in. And so she ends up getting pregnant. Like, that's early on. It's not a spoiler. It's on the back of the book. And that is their whole journey of everything changing and them having to figure out how this fits in, and Tucker having to grow up and be serious, and Sabrina having to figure out how a baby fits into her life plan. And so I really like it. It's really good. And then my number 6 is The Legacy by Elle Kennedy. And this one is a giant epilogue for everything that we have previously read. So we follow Hannah and Garrett, who were book 1. We follow Grace and Logan, who were book 2. Dean and Allie, who were book 3. And then Tucker and Sabrina, who were book 4. And so it's just basically where are they now sort of thing. So I won't tell a whole lot about that one because a lot of spoilers, can't really say a whole lot about that one. So my number 5 is Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This one we follow Rachel. And so the book starts, she has a one-night stand with like the most perfect guy in the world, and then she never sees him again. And she was okay with that. She was very resigned to the fact that it was a one-night stand. Well, she becomes a physical therapist for this hockey team, and he ends up being on that hockey team. And so she's having to deal with the fact that he was like the most perfect guy, and she just can't quit thinking about him. And then he doesn't recognize her, so she's having to deal with that, and drama ensues. My number 4 is The Combat Codes by Alexander Darwin. This one is where we're in a country, instead of using armies to solve problems, they use these things called Griever Knights, which isn't a thing, it's a person. And they go 1-to-1 on combat to settle things. We follow Kego. He is an orphan in the underground, and he, fights in these underground fights. And he gets picked up by a recruiter, and he is training to become a Griever Knight. Well, so he goes to this school to learn and grow, and all these kids, they get picked off into teams, and they get points based on their performance. It's a lot like Harry Potter, but they fight and learn strategy rather than spells. And so, but like with anything, there's more that's going on than people are telling them. And so while he's just trying to survive the drama of being in a school like this and not trying to break a bunch of bones, we've got this bigger conflict that's going on. My number 3 is Wall of Storms by Ken Liu. This one is book 2 of the Dandelion Dynasty. This one, the emperor from the previous book is being invaded by a new enemy, and this enemy is deviously clever, and they seem completely unstoppable. And so that's just a part of what's happening. Meanwhile, the emperor is trying to fill positions for his council, and it's mentally brutal on the applicants. It takes days, and they have to be chosen to present in front of this large crowd. And there's just so much going on that I can't even begin to explain everything. You follow lots of perspectives, and it's like a bunch of little short story vignette things from different people. And so you've got this overarching war that's going on, and then you've got these little smaller invasions, and you got these little smaller stories where people are trying to figure out different things. And the characters that you follow in this one are incredibly smart. One in particular is an inventor and thinks way out of the box because they've kind of been forced to. Because that's just the world that they grew up in. Like, there was no being dumb. Like, you had to be smart in order to survive. And so with these books, there is a lot of people outsmarting each other politically and on the battlefield, and it's very up and down in its pacing. So like, it's not like a slow build to where everything like gets crazy here. No, it gets crazy and then it comes down. It gets crazy and it comes down. And it's just, there's so much going on, and like the characters in this book, like you get so invested in just a few minutes, and like I can't even properly explain this book at all. There's just too much going on. It's well worth it, is really all that I can say. Number 2 is Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. Like the last one, there's a lot happening in this one, but it's a lot less than the last one. So in this world, back up. Hunger of the Gods is book 2 to his Bloodsworn series. The first one is Shadow of the Gods. And so this one, we've got these different gods that are being awakened. Let me know. You've got a dragon and a snake and a rat and a wolf and a couple others, and they're being brought to life. And they are battling it out amongst themselves. They're basically like siblings squabbling. But it's catastrophic because they're powerful and they can destroy the entire world. And so we're following these different war bands as they attempt their own quests, and they end up getting swept up into the war that's happening. There's a mom on a quest to find her son, and she's getting swept up into this war. And the added element to this one is that there are people who have god blood in their systems, and so they have different powers and features that the gods possess, and they aren't treated well. Thinking like X-Men, basically, except like they're actually being killed in these books, and so they're having to hide and they're having to not be truly honest about who they are. And I love war bands. I love sword fighting and battles and all of those things. And so this book just hits everything that I need. And then my number one is Wisdom of Crowds by Joe Abercrombie. This one is book 3 in his Age of Madness trilogy, which is within the Blade itself world. This one is chaos and destruction. Up to this point, the government has been a certain way, and it gets overthrown by revolts, and now you got all these people getting revenge. They're hanging people who get out of line, and it's survival and manipulation and betrayal at every turn. And so everyone is having to fend for themselves, and you can't trust anyone, and everyone's being manipulated and lied to, and it is so much fun to watch. And Joe Abercrombie really hits home on what it's like when things get chaotic and like the lengths that people can go to. And so we have different perspectives of people just trying to survive. You have the rich, and you have the soldiers, and you have a monarch who's no longer in charge, and what do you do when you're helpless? And you've got this war going on the other side of the country, and he just blends it all together. And anytime that you feel like the characters are going to do exactly what you think they're going to do, they don't, like, at all. And so he keeps you guessing, and he keeps you on your toes the entire time through. And so it is why he's my number one. But so yeah, there is my top 10 list of 2024. Which books have you read? Chat with me more in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.